So today is our day 2, and I want to welcome all of us to our day 2, trusting that we all had a great evening. And our day 2 will start with a recap, and just for what we did yesterday. And I would want to open it to the floor, just for us to recap. What is it that you picked yesterday? Maybe something that you went thinking and reflecting over it. Then from there, we're going to share our action plans. And like I said, we'll sample maybe 1 or 2 based on the people who will be willing to share with us. So let me open it up for the recap. And once again, allow me to make a disclaimer that the trainings are always recorded for purposes of reference, and we'll always share our materials on the website. And I didn't indicate, in case you have any challenge, you can always reach out to us. So over to you guys for our sharing. Anybody who's willing to start on the recap?
Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm fine. This is Juvie, as you can see on the screen. Okay, maybe not a recap of many things, but 1 or 2 things that I picked up from yesterday. Okay, the importance of self-awareness, to make sure or to endeavor to, to make sure that your emotions don't work against you. I think it's a very tough call. I think we like it to be that way, but because of our temperament, some inclinations, tendencies, things come in between, so it doesn't come that way. But it's good to be aware, and like that, things can work out fine. If we know we are not in a good mood, so we can avoid the things that would annoy us, that tend to annoy us, and try to manage ourselves. And also, one other thing is that to welcome corrections, to welcome feedback, whether be it positive or negative, because more so the negative feedback gives us an opportunity to improve. Negative feedback is an opportunity for us, a wonderful opportunity to make ourselves, to better ourselves. I'd say those 2 things. There were others, but I remember these. Last, maybe I didn't really complete my assignment. I don't have any PowerPoint or what, but I could share later what came to mind.
Okay. Thank you very much for opening up the floor for us. Thank you for sharing. Anyone else who'd want to add something? Sylvia? Sylvia, if you're talking on mute. Or I can pick on Carol. There's Joyce. We have Mohammed. Can share with us something that they picked yesterday.
Morning, everyone.
Morning.
This is Joyce.
Yes, Joyce. Thank you. How are you?
Fine, thank you. How are you?
Cool.
Yeah, so I think yesterday I picked the aspect of the skills that we as leaders are supposed to have to ensure that our leadership is impactful to our teams and to the organization. There's the aspect of the personal skills, like the self-awareness, the self-management, as we've been told, and also there's the aspect of the social skills that we are supposed to ensure that we have so that we are able to be good leaders. Also, there is the When it comes to self-awareness, there's the aspect of ensuring that we as leaders self-assess ourselves using different techniques. And what I got is the 360 degrees technique works very well for us. So we should ensure that at the end of the day, we keep receiving feedback, but also ensure that that feedback is helpful to us and to the teams. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Joyce. That's awesome. Thanks for sharing. Adding to what we picked yesterday in terms of us being inspirational leaders who are high performers. Yes, anyone else would want to add?
Okay, hi everyone.
Hi.
Sorry,
Sorry, you're not. Now you're clear. Thank you.
Okay, yeah, sorry. Yeah, my participation today may not be as much as yesterday. There's a lot going on in the office. But what I learned yesterday for me was the element of like she called Judy, who talked about self-awareness. Just being able to know who you are.
Sorry, we don't hear well.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Okay.
That's better, thank you.
All right. So in terms of the self-awareness, where you are, and also knowing your position and knowing how to respond to people. And then there's also the element of reflective, the skills that we talk about, reflective journaling, I think there's that element where having a lot of self-reflection in what you do as a leader, whatever it is that you do, realize it has an impact on people. And I think that's really critical, especially for those who are handling people, handling departments, because I know there are times, like you said, I remember when you talked about somebody who says that you don't greet me in the morning. And for many of us, we don't realize that is such a huge thing to set the pace for the rest of the day for the team. So just the element of reflection. I love the element of journaling because I like writing, but I don't write about myself. I mean, I write other things, but I never, self-reflect in terms of that. So I think for me, that was really a take home, just to be able to now know that other than the things I write about other things, I also need to start, like a reflection about how I get my job done and how to keep on improving everything. So thank you very much.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you so much. As much as you're breaking up, I would think I was able to pick one or two things. And what you're saying is that one is about the self-reflection, especially as a leader, and how you manage and interact with people. And I think what you've also said as you're concluding is about journal. You love writing, but you've not been writing about yourself. And rightly, you're right. Most of us always think you do so much for other people, but you never pause and ask yourself, what can I do to myself? Or what can I do for myself? So I think I love that, whereby a journal, and trust me, those people who don't have journals, I have a journal. Okay, I'm not once in a while, I will maybe skip 1 or 2 days. But the moment you become very committed to the journal, it's really a game changer in terms of you building yourself, your personal development, and building yourself to be that leader, that inspirational leader that you want to be, or even in other aspects of lives, So I would encourage that those who don't have journals, if you can, it's a very good practice. And especially if you love books, then it becomes very easy. So thank you so much for that. And I see Phoebe. Thank you, Phoebe, has put something on the chat, and she's saying that self-assessment, this is key to enable us have the true reflection of who we are and what we need to work on to better ourselves as leaders. Wow. I cannot summarize it better. Thank you, Phoebe. That self-assessment, self-awareness, self-reflection, those are the key in case you don't want to be a good inspirational leader, because like I said, it starts with you. And you cannot give what you don't have. You give what is in you, and don't put so much on yourself. It's one day at a time. I tell people there's a song that I always sing when things are so tough. And it goes like one day at a time. For the Christians, we see the day, one day at a time, sweet Jesus, because every day, one day at a time. At times, we want to hold 5 days, we want to hold 5 years within one day. But when you want to grow, even a seed, when it's planted, it doesn't germinate the same day. It takes a process. So it's same to us. So as we start this journey, of course, I know you're great leaders. So as we start this journey of becoming inspirational leaders, becoming better leaders, let's not put so much pressure on ourselves. Let's learn to celebrate the small pluses that we make. And as we celebrate the small pluses that we make in our lives, that excitement, that is a motivation for you to get to the next level. So for now, I want us to share our action plans. I think we had, it was, when I say homework, I may sound like I'm in school. Or we've gone back to the CBC. But we had something that we were discussing yesterday, whereby we said you're going to come up with a vision, give us an objective, and the objectives were to be smart. So I'm requesting anyone who is willing to share this very voluntarily, anyone who is willing to share, and we can use that to just discuss. And you may not have it on a PowerPoint. In fact, as I was starting this session, I told myself I should have requested whoever would want to share, they can email it to me, but no worries. You can just articulate it and we can be able to discuss it accordingly. So I open it up to the volunteer. I can see some people in a great boardroom. That's KPRL. Karibuni sana. So who do want to share? Or we didn't do it?
It's still building in our heads.
It's still building in our heads.
I have a rough idea, but it's not actually. I don't know. I'm still at it, but I don't know. Maybe someone else. While I'm gathering my thoughts, which I could share a little bit if there is time anyway.
Okay, no worries. Maybe one thing I need to say is that in adult learning, there is no wrong answer. Everything is correct because you learn from that. So what one may be having, and like we said, one of the key skills of an inspirational leader is confidence. And confidence comes up when whatever you have, you believe in it, So you believe in what you've done and you believe in growth and you believe in good feedback, because why I wanted us to share one or two is because it is going to help us as we formulate our own action plans towards being the inspirational leaders that we'd want to be. So if I could humbly request you, whatever you have, just pop it up.
There's no other more brave here. Okay, I don't mind. I really don't mind. Only that my idea is very much of a skeleton. That's why I was saying I was building it up. But okay, for the purposes of bringing up the discussion, I was just thinking of, okay, from the analysis of data, there were two things. Like I thought that when in conversation with people, sometimes one would get into an argument or some disagreement because probably you have not articulated your speech in a proper way, or what you want to convey, and at the same time you haven't listened to the end, because maybe I get an idea and I like it, I don't like it, then I already say what my opinion is. So then I was thinking that, okay, I would like to improve, basically to be more eloquent in my speech in a more general way, and also my listening skills. So, I mean, as a leader, you need that, no? To be able to empathize and to come up with good solutions, to analyze the situations in a more comprehensive way, more objective point of view. You need to listen to the end and to be able to empathize and put your, be in someone else's shoes, kind of thing. No? But also, I would like to be able to speak, be more articulate, not just in writing, but also in my speech, to be more eloquent, to speak more with confidence. So then, coming to the vision, I didn't quite know how to put it, because ideally vision is what you want to be. No, that's what you're telling us, to put your vision, like to be something. But maybe you can help me how to put it in that to be. But my concept is like to be able to connect and consequently to make a difference. So I made it short by saying connecting and making a difference. So maybe that's the vision. And then the objective there would be, going back from the analysis of data, is that I would like to speak, to improve my oratory skills, my public speaking, but not only public speaking in public, but the way to express myself, no, in a more succinct, more clear, no, and not to say many words, but to say things exactly, briefly, but complete, no? That's what I was saying, succinct. And to improve my listening skills, because it is important, no, for leaders not just to be efficient, but to be able to connect. When you can connect with people, then you can make a difference. You can influence them when they feel that they understand you, rather you understand them, you empathize, you appreciate their situation. And that's the best way. Make it easier for you to influence, no, people, to effect a change. You can be together when there's connection. You can go in the same direction. Now, when it comes to action plans, how I'm going to improve my oratory skills. I don't know, maybe I can subscribe to vocabulary, the word of the day, something like that. I keep seeing it on my screen and I just ignore it. Maybe I'm not a good reader. I'm not an avid reader, or I'm not a reader, I'd say. Even they say leaders are readers. Readers are leaders. But I think from that perspective, I lose marks. But okay, I read books, but I read books, I stop them, I don't finish. And maybe I read books, but not at a good rate. So I don't know, even I put a target that is very minimal, to complete a book in 2 to 3 months. Maybe that's very little, but at least to start something, to make sure I am able to read, because I will be able to articulate myself with the help of, from reading, I thought. Then, I don't know what else. I had not moved, further. But as for listening skills, I was listening to a video before, and somebody, the speaker was saying, pick someone, identify someone, and with that someone, you practice that listening to the end that you would like to achieve, no, to arrive at. So whenever you're talking to someone, you can have that self-awareness. The problem is the self-awareness. You may have the goodwill, but if you don't keep up with the self-awareness, I think it comes with that self-awareness. No? When you are talking to someone, you get carried away, by the story, and then you remember your own story. And before even they can finish their story, your story is somewhere in the middle. I was listening to another video, and they told that the speaker says that when listening to someone, ideas will come to your head, but let them come and go. Let them come and go, so that you just continue listening to the person and go with the flow. Now, again, I think the self-awareness comes in there, go with the flow, as in build up on what the person was saying instead of your own story that come to mind. Let it come and go. And if it's really good, at the end of it, I suppose it will still come to you, and now it's more appropriate to say the story. I don't know. That is where I reached. I actually want to focus to see. I mean, this may be very small things, but I think as a person, it can go a long way with connecting with people and making a difference as a consequence. If there is the rapport, there is understanding, and it's easy to build teamwork and working together so that you can be successful with a group, with a team. That's as far as where I have come. Could people hear me?
Can he?
Yes, we could hear you very well.
Okay. Have we lost Irene?
Oh, sorry. I was talking on mute. I'm so sorry. I was talking on mute. I'm saying that was awesome. That was great. Awesome. I think we need to give you a clap. Can we kindly just unmute and appreciate her for the wonderful job that she's done? Kindly, guys, let's unmute and just clap for her, you know?
Good job.
Good job. Excellent, you know? At a point, I felt like we should have been together as co-facilitators, because what you've done. Yes, Lucy, you want to say something? Or you're clapping for her? Yeah.
Yes, I was clapping for her.
Thank you. Thank you. Trust me, that was an awesome job. And what I love most is that between yesterday and today, you've been able to pick one or two elements that you feel you need to change or you need to improve on. And if it's for any assurance, I can tell you for a fact, most people in this training relate with you in one way or another. I may not know much about the others, but personally, I relate with you and some of the things that you are articulating. And like you said, there's something that I've picked up when I say that leaders are readers. I love reading, but I can tell you as we talk, I have like 5 books that I'm reading. I'm not able to read book page to page. So you'll find like I have like 5 books I'm reading. I'll start this, but that is the way it works for me. So as far as the will, I always say where there's will, there's a way. So don't get tired. And the structure that you've taken, I like your vision, because for you, what you want to achieve as an inspirational leader, you want to connect and make a difference in people. Yeah, you want to connect and make a difference in people's lives. So for me, that's a wonderful vision. So now from there, I love the way you've broken it up. So for you to be able to connect, what do you require? You've talked about you need to improve on your communication skills. And then for me, I would wrap it all as a communication or PR skills, because that is where now we have everything about listening, about articulation, all those things that you spoke about all may fall under the umbrella of communication. And what I love most about your action plan is you're even talking about the word. These things, they come on phone and we ignore them. But the moment you start using those words, there's a way it helps, even in terms of your vocabulary. There's a way it helps. So at least you have an idea of what you'd want. You already have, in terms of listening skills, I'm sure most of us, even in this class, have picked 1 or 2 things that if somebody is talking, I think it's a natural thing or it's a personality thing based on your personality or temperament, that when somebody is talking, at times it even itches you. In fact, there's someone who was telling me, I feel like I'm itching to talk, you actually, you even feel now you're getting anxious to talk. So it's very good to get that skill, but that is a weakness. So try as much as possible, engage with looking for resources that can help you on how you can improve on your listening skills. And one of the things is just concentrate on what the person is saying. I know at times it's not very easy, Because at times, like you've said, they say something and something comes to your mind. And there's this weakness that most of us have. When somebody starts giving you their story, okay, it's always good when you give your story because it also gives that other person an affirmation that they can relate. But you find at times it overtakes the main story. So maybe what we need to do is, as much as you'd want to share your story, to give affirmation to that, moderate your story so that this person does not feel wasted. Because you see, if I came to you with wanting to talk to you, and half of the time you've been talking, then when I go back, I'm like, oh my goodness, I should have just gone for a cup of tea and had my own self-reflection. So it's a skill and it takes time. But the beauty of it is when you know that this is an area I want to improve. The worst is when you don't know it's an area that you need to improve. And you're there thinking people are not even appreciating that you're giving them, someone has come with a problem. You're like, can they even appreciate I'm trying to share my personal stories with them? But at that point, they don't want to hear anything. They just want to be listened to. And for most people, even who've done counseling, I think one of the elements, because like in HR, most of the times, I think when people come to us, we behave or we act like those counselors. One of the elements of a good counselor, even career counselor or whatever it may be, is that you have to have very good listening skills. Because you're told when somebody comes to you, at times they just want to talk. They just talk, because they say a problem shared is half solved. So it is a skill that with time, since the will is there, trust me, you're going to get over it. So I love your vision. I love your objectives. I think they're very clear. And like we said, the smartness, they're very specific because you want to improve on communication, you want to improve on your eloquence, you want to improve on your listening skills. I can say they are measurable because with time you can be able to tell yourself, am I being able, I mean, last time I was talking to Irene, I didn't allow her to talk. I spoke like 30 minutes. Today I'm speaking to Jane. So you're able to measure and see, am I improving on this? They are realistic. Yeah, they're achievable. So maybe the only thing that you need to put a measure on yourself is like after how long. Of course, it's a process. Maybe you can say within, like I like what you said, there's a video you're watching. Maybe you can say, I'll watch these videos within the next like 1 or 2 months. Or so it's always good to give yourself some kind of a time frame so that you don't continue with an objective or with an exercise forever without having a time frame. Otherwise, it can go forever before you achieve it. Yeah. So I think that is the only area that maybe it's good to have. It's good to have a time frame. So thanks, Winfred. So I missed the one, but I relate with the reading bit. You're good. You see, you're not alone. All of us, most, so most people have that issue about reading. And why I started reading like 4 or 5 books that ago is I shared that and I said, I have a problem because I'm not able to finish a book. And I'm not even able to read like page 1, page 2. I'll go to chapter 1, I go to chapter 6. I like just may I call it picky ponky, And I thought it was a great weakness, only to realize that I'm not alone. And someone told me, if you want to read and read more, know that because when you read one book, you get bored. Yeah. So have 1 or 2 books. And trust me, it's been working for me. Then the other thing that I've also picked up, because I also love reading, I love just writing. Someone said about writing, I write a lot. I've also now started listening to audiobooks.
Yes, yeah. Me too,
And
yeah.
so the audiobooks also help a lot. And what I do is every time maybe I'm walking, I'm driving, wherever I am, I just put my earphones in, I listen to an audiobook. Then I'll go to the main book because I've realized when you listen to the audiobook, it gives you the motivation to want to go to that chapter. Because the other thing that I've picked as you read is always write notes. So I'll go back to that specific chapter because it's something I want to talk to really internalize. So it helps, or it's a good practice because you can never go wrong by reading because you always add, you always pick something new. So thank you so much, guys. And I believe for those who are not there yesterday,
Thank you.
the summary that we've had, I think summarizes everything. because this training is basically on us trying to look for skills that will enable us to be good inspirational leaders who can be high performers. So, and I really once again want to appreciate the lady for sharing. And I believe that all of us now have a view of what we can do to enable, develop a good action plan. And for those who do not do it, today, we will basically, most of the sharing that we'll be doing is on how to ensure and how to reemphasize on the need of an action plan. Because for you to be a good leader, you have to plan to be a good leader. Leader, in fact, there's a theory that says a leader's born or a leader's made. It is something we can discuss, but for you to be a leader, you have to work on yourself. You cannot just wake up and become that great inspirational leader that you want. And for purposes of this class, again, we'll still continue making references to Barack Obama and Madre Teresa. And I think on that note, maybe we should have started with a moment of silence. For, as we all know, for those who don't know, the Queen left us yesterday. And you see, like in Kenya, the Queen, we always talk about the Queen. So if it's okay with everyone, maybe we can just have a moment of silence just to appreciate who she has been to the world. And having lived for 96 years is not a small feat. So those are the things you pray to God, that God help me when I grow up and be like her. So kindly just 1 minute of silence for the Queen. Thank you. So now we can continue with our training. And just as a recap in terms of the objectives that we have for yesterday, and for those who are not with us yesterday, these are the objectives that we had. So we started by describing the pillars of inspirational and high performance leaders. We also discussed the personal skills for inspirational leadership, the social skills, and we went into details on the techniques of self-assessment for leadership skills. And after that, that's when we got to developing the leadership plan. And that is where, I think that's what we started with today, because we said for you to be a good inspirational leader, you need to understand yourself. You need to assess yourself, pick up the areas that you need to improve on. Then once you pick the areas that you need to improve on, then you develop a leadership plan. And that's where we started. So today we'll be discussing the elements of a leadership development plan. We'll also be looking at the habits for inspirational leadership. This is more of a recap. You realize most of today is just trying to recap what we did yesterday. The self-motivation steps for inspirational leaders. And we explain the strategies for leadership development. And this is just, I would say, it's more of us as leaders. As much as we're thinking about ourselves, how about building other people? So this is one off whereby we just thought it's good to bring something that, as much as we're thinking about ourselves, how about the people who we're working with, or people who look upon us as their role models, as their mentors, as their coaches. Then finally, we'll describe the characteristics of an effective inspirational leader. So with no much ado, I'll go to the elements of a good leader. I hope you can see my screen.
Yes, we can.
Okay. Okay. Before, I can see there's a very good chart here from Thomas. Thank you so much, Thomas. And what he said in terms of objective is to develop my skills in formulating directions for subordinates. So the actions that is put in place is one, delegate tasks during staff briefings. The performance indicator will be to do a matrix and informal and formal task success time frame by 31st December 2022. Awesome, Thomas. This is great. And I love your objectives. You've given a time frame. You're very specific. And you've gone ahead and said how you're going to measure your performance. And this will be based by a matrix, which I believe is a matrix that you're going to create. And matrix informal tax success time frame, 31st December 2020. So you're giving yourself 3 months. So if you allow me to just dissect this kindly, because you are learning, let's just dissect this. Is that Thomas has picked that maybe he has an area that he needs to improve in terms of delegation of tasks. Yeah. So based on that, now he's putting something in place that will enable, maybe he's, because some of us at times you feel you can do it, but you are the one who can do it the best. And at times it's a weakness, though not a bad one, because in most cases, when you're let down by a person once or twice, they said beaten once, twice shy, you feel you want to do it and you're not very sure. So it's good when you start delegating, and of course you delegate and guide accordingly. Because the other issue I realize with us leaders is at times you will delegate, but you don't give the clear instructions. So this person will go and do this assignment, not knowing your expectations. So when it comes back to you, you're like, oh my goodness, this is not what I expected. So that back and forth. So thank you for that. So once you delegate, and I like it because there's a matrix. So from the matrix, you're able to see this is what I'm looking for. So Thomas, I do wish you all the best in this, because delegation is one way of building talent. And when we get to the strategies of leadership development, we're going to go into that into details. So thank you. So now as we go to the elements of the leadership development plan, this is whereby it's something I'm trying to remove from my screen. So kindly just be patient with me. In terms of the character development, this whereby we're saying that is a central area of leadership. Let me just ask, how are you seeing my screen? Are you seeing some things apart from the presentation? Anyone who can just respond to me?
Only the presentation and the side chat, but I think it's okay. Well, there are no other things.
Okay. Okay, then that's okay. That's in order.
Just the presentation.
Someone is saying something else?
I just say just the presentation. I'm able to see.
Okay, so you're not able to see these other things like the side charts and the like.
No, nothing. Just the presentation. Elements of a leadership development plan.
Okay, thank you. Then maybe just on my side, that is in order.
If you double click on your screen, it will the side chat will disappear.
I'm trying to do that, but instead it's going to the next slide. You
Oh,
see, when I do that,
sorry.
yeah, it's good. Yeah, when I do that, it's going to the next slide. So it's okay. I mean, I'm sure I'm going
It's
to get
fine.
it right.
You're okay. Yeah.
Okay. So character development. I think this is a terminology that has become of late. Everyone, when you talk to somebody, they talk about character development. So character development, like articulated, it is a central area of focus in leadership development, and it involves identification and development of core competencies which play a role in developing a lead character. So this is whereby you're building your character. Yeah. And from the two examples that we've had, from the lady and the lady and the gent, they're called from the court. You know, we are not trying to talk the court language. Is that two things have come up very strong. The what? What do you call the men? The Lord.
The Lords, yeah. What I'm saying, my name is Juvie, yeah.
Juvia. From Juvie and Thomas, is that there's an area that you feel that you need to develop yourself. It's about communication. It is about delegation. So that is what we talk about character development, whereby you pick a competence, which is very key for leadership, and you work on it. The other elements that we need to pick up is example setting and leading. Yeah, this is whereby it involves outlining those behaviors which a leader would like to follow. It is concerned with the identification of desirable or successful behaviors. And if you'd allow me to take you back to the exercise that we had yesterday, when we were talking about those leaders that we look at, those leaders that if I was to be asked as Irene, who is this leader that you don't want to be like? And we picked a few, but we said we're going to stand up with Barack Obama and Mother Teresa. So what are these desirable behaviors? Yeah, if you look at someone like Barack Obama, he's very good in terms, he's a charismatic leader. Yeah, when he talks, the guy just talks and you're like, oh my goodness, I just wish I can just talk a quarter, not even a quarter, just a 0.000 of what he does, you know. So those characteristics that you feel you want to interact with, he's able to bond with everyone. He goes even when they're small kids, he goes and he's able to connect with them. So those are the behaviors that you're looking for. So each one of us, as we develop our plan, let's reflect and ask ourselves, which are these successful behaviors that I want to be associated with? Yeah. And once you do that, because everybody is looking at you as a leader. So you have to set the example. You have to lead by example, but you can only do it when you know where you're headed. Then the next element is extension of leadership experience. This is whereby we're saying that it's concerned with the extension of leadership experience by handling challenging assignments, taking appropriate leadership development training, and extensive reading to stay abreast with the best practices in management and various leadership techniques. Like Juvi said, a good leader is a good reader. You have to keep on reading. It doesn't have to be books. It can be journals. It can be at times I see the newspaper, they have very nice articles in terms of professionalism, in terms of leadership. So read, because that is the only way you get to know what is happening. Because there's nothing as frustrating as a leader when you're seated somewhere with your team and you're their team lead and they'll ask you about something and you have absolutely no idea. And maybe it's something that is actually trending, you know. I tell people as leaders, as much as at times we say we don't want to get into social media, once in a while get to social media because you need to be abreast with what is happening, you know, negative or otherwise. You need to know what is happening. Start following most of these renowned leadership gurus, you know. We have the Maxwells, we have Estine, you know, start following them up on Twitter. And because you find every day they'll be putting maybe like some leadership quotes, there'll be a discussion in terms of leadership. So just keep on. So if you're not very good at reading, then at least guess something that motivates you, something that excites you, you know, something that makes you feel, wow, this is what I want to be. So you have to ensure that you build on your leadership experience because everybody looks at you as a leader and they assume that you know everything about leadership. So that's why you have to ensure that you continue reading. And when you have those challenging assignments, take them very positively because that is the only way you're going to grow. Then the next time or the next element of leadership development plan is implementing the plan. Yep. How do you implement the plan? Once you've been able to evaluate yourself, you've had the self-assessment, you have defined the desired behaviors that you'd want to have as an inspirational leader, you've picked your areas of improvement, you have developed your plan. So how do you implement it? Jovi has told us about her communication. She wants to have good listening skills. She has articulated things that she's going to do. So how do you implement that plan? One, communicating the plan. This deals with disclosing the development plan to someone who can be of help in self-improvement or development of the leadership competencies. And like we started, I'll say that we share our plans, because that is one way of communicating. Because you see, the moment you communicate, the moment we discuss it, already the process has started. Already you've started seeing, wow, it is doable. You know, you have something that you can work on. And we always encourage that when you get in or when you're embarking on a journey, and in this case, as you're embarking on this leadership development plan, for us to be great inspirational leaders, once you have your plan, communicate it, get an accountability partner, somebody that you can share with, somebody who can keep track of what is happening. And in case you have a mentor, we all encourage to ensure that you have mentors. Talk to your mentor, tell them, by the way, I attended this training on inspirational leadership, and that is what I want to be in the next 1 year. I want to be that great leader who connects with people, who is making a great impact, a great difference. And this is what I've come up with in terms of me getting there. And trust me, your mentor will be your accountability partner. They'll be able to follow up with you when you go for your mentorship meetings, which ideally it depends with what you're working on. So one of the things that you can work on is your plan. If you don't have a mentor, you can talk to even your colleague, you know, because like for this plan, you can even develop the plan as, you know, with someone, and you take each other as accountability partners, so that there's someone who's keeping track. Not that you cannot be able to do it by yourself, but when there's somebody whom you can discuss with, because you see what happens is at times you don't want to try something, but you get some challenge and you're not very sure. So when you have this person who is able to help you, then it becomes very easy. So always communicate the plan, because by that communication, then you're able to be sure that you're on track. The next is monitoring of its progress. This stage is primarily related to setting up a system which will help in monitoring the performance. Monitoring the performance. How are you performing? You have 3 objectives. Thomas has told us about delegating. He wants to delegate more to his team. I believe in his matrix, he'll be like, maybe there's week 1, week 2, you know? So you can be able to monitor it. After you've had the first, maybe like after this training, once you get to the staff, your staff meeting or your departmental meeting, you're able to rate yourself. Did I delegate like I had intended to? If it didn't work, you have the next meeting. So you're able to monitor. And the beauty of this is that it builds up on your motivation. Yeah. And one thing that I think I'd said this earlier, there's nothing as beautiful as rewarding your achievements. Yeah. Reward yourself. We're very good at talking about recognition. We want to recognize the best employee of the month, the best world, the best, but also reward yourself, I mean, because if you've put in place an objective and you've clearly, like now Thomas, by the end of December 2022, you've been able to achieve that, reward yourself. And rewarding yourself doesn't have to be very extravagant. Do it in simple ways that are sustainable. Buy yourself a cup of tea. Like for me personally, when I do something that is really great, like I said, I love reading, I always reward myself with a book, you know? And I will actually, most of my books, I'll write as to what I did, especially, you know, those great things that you do. Like, you know, there's something I want to achieve. The moment I achieve it, I always reward myself with a book. If I don't have maybe the finances for a book, a cup of coffee. You can even reward yourself with if you love watching movies. You decide that day, I'm just going to sit on my couch, watch a movie, have my best meal. For some of us who love cooking, when I'm happy that day, I'll make the best pilau in this world, you know, and I feel nice. I'm like, I'm cooking too, because I want to enjoy that meal. So look for things that are workable. What may work for me may not work for you. So identify, and that is all in the element of the self-awareness. Know what works for you. I know there are people, when they want to reward themselves, they just go for a run, or they'll go for a walk, they'll go for a hike, you know, and they're like, wow, I'm giving you this because you did this to me, you know. You talk to yourself. I tell people it's good, the mirror talk, you know, you go to the mirror and you talk to yourself, you're like, wow, I really, that was great, you know. Like now, after I'm done with this training, I'm going to have my own self-assessment and I'll talk to myself and I'll tell myself, wow, that was nice, that was awesome, you know, or whatever way, you know, reward yourself, people. So when you get a good thing that you've done, think about yourself. And here is where my colleagues, I just want to challenge each one of us that as you give as much as you have. If you don't reward yourself, you don't tell yourself thank you, you don't hug yourself, you know, the self hug, you don't have at no time do you ever tell yourself, wow, I'm a great person? Because the moment you say you're a great person, you're affirming yourself. So always monitor that progress. You're like, wow, I made it. You mean I could do that? Oh my goodness. Be happy, be excited. Let someone ask, why are you so excited? You're like, wow, I've achieved one of my many objectives, you know? You may not go to details, but just excite and share your successes with everyone, because that is the only way you'll be able to move to the next level. Even when things don't work, you're trying and trying. Whatever progress that you make, even if it's one step, appreciate yourself. So those are in terms of the implementation. I think those are the three key things that in case we embrace them, we're going to be very, very successful in our plans. And just to repeat, so that we're all on the same, is that once you develop a plan, communicate it to someone who can be able to assist you in that plan. The second element, have a way of monitoring its progress. The third one, there's a communication. Communicate the plan, monitor it. Which is the third one? Or there were two? Yeah, there are two. So of course there's
there were two.
There were two. So there's of course there's the developing the plan, then you communicate it. So the developing is the first one. So develop it, have it ready. Here is my plan, my self-assessment. I've done what I need to do. Then now after I've done it, first it's in writing. It's a written document. Communicate that document, even to yourself. And you're like, now, when it means taking a note, like our guys did yesterday, communicate it to yourself and someone else will be your accountability partner. Then have a monitoring way. Have progressive monitoring of how you're progressing. Okay. So with that, then we go to the next objective. And these are the habits of inspirational leadership. And you realize habits shape us. And there's a book that I'm reading. It's called, is it Atomic Habits something? Yeah. And in case you want to talk about habits, if there's a book that you can read and not get disappointed, is that book. And if you may be having a challenge in terms of the habits that you don't to implement, or the habits that there's something that you've been wanting to stop to do, you know, it's an awesome book. I'm going to put it on the chat just in case one of you may want to just have a look at it. I've also, there's also have a very good online audiobook, because habits are everything. Habits make us, because habits shape our strengths and abilities. And once they shape them, because we all know that abilities and strengths, they're the ones that make us, you know, and they're the only ones that will make us to be those strong or inspirational leaders that we aspire to be. And we're told at times, getting a habit is very easy, but breaking it becomes very difficult. And one thing I've learned from that book is that even the single progress that you make on a habit change, celebrate it. And for purposes of us becoming great inspirational leaders, there are habits that we can be able to think about. And even as we have our self-assessment, so these are the kind of things that you ask yourself, am I, can I, do I, Because one of the habit is concern for time. And based on this training, because we are learning and we say we share, and there's nothing good like live experiences. Yesterday, after our training, we agreed that we're going to start our training exactly at 8:30. And at 8:30, I think we were only 7 of us. Yeah. So let's commit to what we say. So concern for time. Because they say that anybody who cannot manage time cannot manage anything, because time is the only thing that you have control over. So to be a good inspirational leader, let's be time conscious. Let's stick to schedules. You've had these bosses that you have a meeting, like at a place you have a group and we have meetings. And if you're late even for a minute, you build on our social kitty. And that has really helped in terms of building time consciousness. Even people who used to be late now, they never get late to meetings. Because people value their time. So when you keep you're meeting somebody for 1 hour and you keep them waiting for you for 1 hour, maybe they just blocked you for that 1 hour. So you can imagine how many other people you're inconveniencing. So it's very important as an inspirational leader to be identified with timekeeping. You want to connect with people. You want to make a difference. You want to say, if today I'm meeting Irene, I want to say that, Irene, if you're not punctual, you not get her. She's a timekeeper. That is a good habit. So if you're not a good timekeeper, we are learning and you're going to develop our plans. So think about what you can do. And what you do is just look at those things that are wasting time. Maybe if you wake up, let's say you wake up at 6:30 and you're always late, just try and wake up at 6, If 6 is not working, wake up at 5:30. If 5:30 is not working, wake up at, just walk around. Because at times you realize it just may be 1 or 5 minutes that have a great impact on everything else that you have for the day. Planning. Do you plan? We are told failure to plan is planning to fail. Planning is very, very important. Organizing. Are you organized? I know most people work towards paperless offices, which is, to some extent, is a big challenge, is a tall order. But I know there's some organizations that have been able to hack it up. But as a good leader, you need to be organized. Do you have a diary? Or you wake up, people come to your office, like 3 people, all of them, you told them to come at 9 o'clock, and you're like, oh my goodness, I forgot I had an appointment with, I forgot I had. So how organized are you? Okay. Another habit for an inspirational leader, like we said, reading. Reading is important. And they say maybe reading before retiring to bed. This is debatable. There are those who prefer reading in the morning. There are those who, so this one, whatever works best for you, go for it. Never postpone things. Inspirational leaders don't postpone. I'll do it tomorrow. I'll do it tomorrow. I'll do it tomorrow. By the time you realize it's a whole year gone. I want to start my development plan in September. Come September, you're like, September, I think I have this and this and this. You move it to December, you move it. If you believe in something, try as much as possible to achieve it. Keep track of current trends. Like I said earlier, even if you don't embrace social media, get a forum or get something that will help you to get to know what is happening. Because as leaders, you just need to know what is happening. I don't think there's an option. So look for a way that will enable you to know what is happening, and especially in your profession, in the world, all over, so that even as you interact with people, because you also, if you remember for yesterday, we talked about social competencies as an inspirational leader. If in a social gathering and people are talking about, like now, in all due respect to the Queen, if people are talking about the Queen and you have absolutely no idea who even the Queen is, at least have something that you can contribute. And guys are like, wow, you also become part of that team. Yeah. So it's always important to get to understand what is happening. We also told, as a good inspirational leader, waking up early. And I'm sure, because we said the role models that we have, each one of us is good to have a role model. If you're to look at the life of Barack Obama or Mother Teresa, I'm sure all of them are waking up very early. Most of the most successful leaders, you always hear like they wake up at 4. I'm sure when you listen to their interview, there are those who say that at 4 o'clock, that's when all the great ideas come. So as an inspirational leader, you cannot afford to love your bed. You have to wake up early and have a ritual that works best for you. But don't wake up like when everything, the life world, the stock market has already gone up and you're still asleep. So as a good inspirational leader, it is very, very, very important that you manage your time, because that way you're going to achieve so much within the day. And I want us to look at a real example to understand the key inspirational and high performance leadership. So this is just an example that I want us to interact. And there's this lady who works as the vice president, Zaya Harper, of finance at Fincon Inc. Corporation, a leading bank in the country. She has extensive experience of almost 18 years in the banking and finance industry. She has worked herself up from the lowest ranks of the corporate ladder and risen to this level. In fact, as a vice president, she's the most influential and popular leader in the banking and finance domain. Almost everyone looks up to Zia as a role model and wants to follow in her footsteps to become the kind of leader she is. So, what makes her a great leader? So let's look at a few of Zia's leadership characteristics that make her such a fantastic and charismatic leader. One is that Zia has always been an excellent and exceptional influencer with charismatic qualities that have driven others to deliver their best or demonstrate excellency in performance for exceeding expectation. An influencer, making a difference to other people. She's able to drive others to deliver their best. And I'm looking at it, maybe someone who's a poor performer, and she's been able to drive them to be the best that they can be. Okay? Zia knows that a leader's role is not just to focus on the organizational functioning through taking care of strategies, system, structure, technologies, and people issues. Allow me to repeat that. Zia knows that a leader's role is not just to focus on organizational functioning through taking care of strategies, systems, structures, technologies, and people issues. But she firmly believes that a great inspirational leader plays a crucial role in inspiring their teams and motivating teams for achieving superior performance benchmarks through continuous learning and development. And my dear colleagues, this is something that I want to pose and I want us to ask ourselves. In most times, we're very keen in terms of policies, procedures, the systems, and technologies, and people issues. And the people issues that at times we will put most of our efforts on may not be anything in terms of inspiring people. But I can tell you something for free. In case you adapt inspiring your team and motivating your team, those two, inspire and motivation, all these other things, the strategies, systems, structures, technologies will fall in place because you'll have a motivated team, a team that will do whatever is required to do willingly without being forced. So as we're looking at this example, it is my prayer that we're trying to internalize and ask ourselves, what are our kind of leadership? Do we so much look at the procedures, this is a strategy, you have to move, you just strategy, yes, it is good to talk about the strategy, but how do you do it? Do you do it in a very inspirational way? Or do you do it in a way that people feel like you're forcing them to do things? And like I said yesterday, for us as human capital people, it's good when we're able to motivate people to want to come to work. Whereby somebody feels, I really want to go to work, Let them not need to come to work. Because the moment they have the need to come to work, then they're coming because they have their salary, they're coming because they have bills to pay. Of course, we all have bills to pay. And I can tell you, if my need to come is to come to work, I'm on my way out. But if it is my want to come to work, it means I am well motivated and I'm well inspired. And the driver for this is my supervisor. So one of the key elements of being a good inspirational leader is to be able to motivate, just like Zia, to motivate and excite others for delivering their best performance in a very positive approach. Always be positive, even when things don't work well, even when maybe you have someone who is struggling with something. Because we all have, if you're working with a team, you realize people have different capabilities. One team member may be very good in report writing. Another one may be very good in the interpretation. Another one in presentation. So if the person who is very good in report writing is not able to make a presentation, appreciate the good that they have. Have a positive approach whereby you can become what you want to be. Motivate them. Show them, yes, you're good at this, and I believe you can even be better in this other thing. But don't rebuke them. In the past, I'm happy nowadays. I think it doesn't really happen in most offices. But you can imagine in the past when you'd have those bosses and you'll take a report and they throw it out, they throw it even on your face, How does it feel? Have you encouraged that person? Have you developed that person, or have you destroyed that person? And that's why we talked about feedback yesterday, especially feedback that is intended to improve. That is a negative feedback. When you give that feedback, how do you do it? As an inspirational leader, you're supposed to give it in such a way that is going to build the person, but not destroy them. So just internalize and ask yourself, the last time I had to give somebody a negative feedback, how did I do it? Answer. Don't tell me, but just internalize yourself, because you say this is about self-reflection, because we want to be good leaders. And we can only do it by understanding ourselves and knowing those areas that we need to improve. And let's be also passionate about the people we work with, because you're told here is continuously strives to build a passionate environment for her teams by communicating the vision in a way which you can excite and encourage others for delivering their best performance. You know how you communicate. Yeah? How do you communicate to your team? And this is where you take a step back and ask yourself, the last time I had to communicate something that we needed to do, how did I do it? And how was the response? Because you can be able to tell how people react. Did you influence their thinking? Did you influence? Or you really had to force, you had to remind them, you know what, you had to send like 20 reminders. telling them, there's this project that, how passionate was it? How passionate are you? And like for Zia, we are told for her to succeed, for her to get to the level of being a vice president, she's come from down there. And once she's up there, she does not feel like she's reached. Like, allow me to use that word, that is a direct translation. Amefika, and all life changes. She still wants to continue motivating people, to build people. She's passionate about what she does. So these are the attributes that we need to embrace. She is an impressive communicator, and she's able to articulate the vision and communicates it with a passion which can stimulate action and record breaking performance. This may look like it's unreal, but it's real. When you're passionate about something, nothing is impossible. Yeah. We are told she's also an expert in presenting the big picture before the teams and in making people understand their role in the realization of the superordinate goals of the organization vision. And this is where at times we as leaders, we need to be a little bit more conscious, because I've seen organizations whereby they believe that the vision is driven by the top people, whereby you walk into an organization, you talk to the junior most person, and they have absolutely no idea of the organization vision. And the question you want to pose to the senior management is, if the junior most person does not identify with the vision, then where are you headed? It means others are headed west, others are headed north, because everybody should embrace the vision of the organization, because all of the efforts are supposed to be focused toward that vision. So we are told Zia is an expert in presenting this big picture before teams. So for you also as an inspirational leader, understand the vision of your organization or your department and have a way of presenting it. And like nowadays, most people will have like the posters everywhere so that everybody can understand. But have you broken that vision in the easiest way that everybody in that organization understands it? Because the moment you do that, and all those attributes that we're looking at, then you're able to build the trust and confidence in people. Because people believe that now you have the right competence. If you understand the vision, you're able to break it up, you articulate, you're able to motivate people, you're able to inspire people, then people get confidence in you. People will start trusting you. And the moment people start trusting you, then of course you've gotten into them, you've gotten into their system, and you've started influencing them positively. And they'll always be coming to you for guidance or direction. I've had supervisors whereby they start complaining. You go to a departmental meeting and somebody comes, is like, they tell you, Irene, I've been wanting to see you. So they come and you're like, oh, so what is the challenge? Like, I don't understand why my team, they don't talk to me. They go to the next, maybe the other HOD. I don't understand. You should pause and ask yourself, why do they go to the other person, another HOD, and they don't come to me, and it's my team? You should have a self-reflection and ask yourself why. Maybe they don't trust you. Maybe they don't have confidence in you. Maybe they've come and told you something, and the next thing, it's all over. You maybe don't motivate them when they tell you something negative that is not very positive, or something that is challenging them. Instead of you motivating them, instead of you encouraging them, giving them direction, giving them hope that it's possible, you rebuke them. So they leave your office feeling very frustrated and destroyed. So if I were the one, then I'll not come back. So ask yourself as a leader. So these are the attributes of the inspirational leaders that we are seeking to be. And like I said yesterday, not that we are not leaders, you are awesome leaders. We just want to make ourselves better in the spirit of self-development. We're told Zia is a strongly principled, ethical, and trustworthy leader. Her sense of honesty gets demonstrated in her day-to-day conduct and behavior. We talked and discussed the habits. Well, your habits, do they portray an inspirational leader, or do they portray a leader who has no direction? A leader who just, that people just say, "Oh, you, I don't even know how they got to that position." People even start doubting your competencies. They just start saying maybe you even got through the back door because you don't portray the behavior of a leader. Because people want to see a progressive leader in how you respect the interests of the organization. Because at the end of the day, that is what holds you together. So, like you can see, Zia has been able to embrace that, and that's why people like her, and that's why people go to her. And now we can understand from that example of Zia is that she's a great inspirational leader who can drive high performance in her subordinates. And why I gave that real example, or why we've given that real example, is because all of us can be like Zia. Do you believe so? Do you think we can be like Zia, or we can never be?
We can.
It can be.
We can be. Thank you. It starts by believing that you can be. The first step towards achieving anything is believing that you can be. So now try and put yourself in her shoes and look at yourself in that growth circle and look at yourself as that great inspirational leader who inspires people, who motivates people. Everybody meets you on the corridor, they're like, "Hi, do you have a minute?" It is possible. So with that example, I would want us to go to our next, which is for us to explain the steps that we require to be able to motivate ourselves for self-motivation. Not that we want to be like Zia. Thank you. You've said you want to be like her, and we can, including myself, because I said in these sessions we learn. I learn from you, we learn together, and we improve ourselves. So these are the things that we need to do. One, we need to get out of our comfort zone. I don't know your comfort zone, but you must be willing to leave your comfort zone, because you're told the greatest barrier to achieving your potential is your comfort zone. I'm okay. I'm fine. I think I can't. Because we're told great things happen when you make friends with your discomfort zone. You challenge yourself. I want to be a good listener. It doesn't work today, it's going to work tomorrow. It doesn't work tomorrow, it's going to work the next day. Others, I should not just say, "Oh, that's the way I was born." You've had people who say like that, "That's the way I was born. I think it's just my personality." Yes, it is your personality, but we all know we have strengths, we have areas of improvement, so we need to improve on the areas of improvement. So just say that's the way I was born. Because we have seen, we've read, people who are otherwise, and within no time, they become charismatic leaders. For the Christians who read the Bible, there's a guy called Paul who would persecute everyone, everybody. But he changed to be a great person. He changed even to be one of the people who wrote the gospel. So believe that you can. Whatever it is that you feel you want to improve to be an inspirational leader, you can. So get out of your comfort zone. Next thing, mistakes happen. My dear colleagues, don't be afraid to make mistakes. We learn through mistakes. Because if you don't make a mistake, then how do you learn? Yep. Wisdom helps us to avoid making mistakes and comes from making a million of them. I repeat that. Wisdom helps us to avoid making mistakes and comes from making a million of them. So when you see yourself making a mistake, learn from it. Don't mourn. Think about it and ask yourself, what would I have done differently? It makes you wiser. Don't get frustrated. I know there are people who get very, very frustrated. And especially when you're really so sure about something, you have this wonderful development plan, it's going to work. Then something just happens, It's a mistake. We all make mistakes. No one is perfect. And if nobody's perfect, then why would you expect yourself to be perfect? So when these mistakes come, take them, embrace them, and learn from them. The next element or the step that you require for us to be self-motivated, to become good inspirational leaders, we should stop limiting ourselves. Stop limiting ourselves. And start by our thinking. Me, I can't be. I can't. I know, I really don't. Me, I cannot. I remember this one of my mentee who really wanted to be a good public speaker. And every time she would go and she has a presentation, she would get lost in making the presentation. And I remember we would have our sessions and I'll tell her, you know what? She's called Leah. I hope she's not in this training. If she is, I told her I'll be making that example when I'm talking about people who have seen move from A to the greatest that they can be. And she'll be like, no, Irene, I can't. I can't. No, I can't. And I'll tell her, you can. Trust me. As we talk right now, times when I even need to do something, I seek her wisdom. Because she stopped limiting her thinking. So even for you, my dear colleagues, let's not limit our thinking. Don't just say, oh my goodness, it's so difficult to be an inspirational leader. I don't have good skills. I don't have good timekeeping. I'm not a good organizer. I'm not a good planner. I don't know how to influence people. I don't know how to motivate people. I don't even know how I can appreciate people. I don't even appreciate myself. Don't limit your thinking. Think in an empowering way. Have positive thoughts. You're like, yes, I am going to make it. I will be, I can. When this negative thought comes, get the reverse of it. I can be a good communicator. I will be a good communicator. I'm so disorganized. I will be very organized. Positive thinking. And trust me, my dear colleagues, it works magic. So kindly stop limiting ourselves, because most of us are even where we are because we limit ourselves. There's some maybe even opportunity of growth and you're like, oh no, me, I don't think I'm ready for that. I can't. No, it's not for me, I cannot be able to. No. Me, I'm okay. Please stop limiting yourself. And you'll be surprised by how much you can achieve and how much you can get to achieving your objectives and even getting to that level whereby you're very inspirational and you're able to influence other people. The fourth step, be happy. Choose to be happy. Don't always be gloomy. Someone told me, if you're gloomy, even your face scares people, even children. Just be happy, but let people ask you, why are you always happy? What's wrong with you? You're like, yeah, I've chosen to be happy. Of course, there are people with emotions. There's a time things will come that for real, you have to express emotions, because I think another element of a good inspirational leader is someone who is real. At times you'll come and you want to cry. It is normal. But most of the times when things are okay, try to be happy, because happy people are easily displayed. And being happy, it is not a privilege. It is a birthright. Yeah? And I repeat, it is not a privilege. It is your birthright to be happy. So it's a God-given gift. So be happy. Always embrace happiness in everything. And the only way to be able to embrace happiness is by being positive about everything that happens. I know at times we've had situations, maybe encouraging our friends or even ourselves having gone through a very difficult time. And I'm sure you've heard this phrase that, I thank God for what happened. Because if it didn't happen, I would not be where I am. Yeah? Because you want to be happy. You want to change whatever it is. to positivity, because we're told you attract what you are. If you're happy, you attract good things. And I can give you a very good example, and I want you to reflect on that. The day you leave your house and you live in a way that you're saying, that's the day you didn't have tea because you woke up late. You go out, that's you find you have a tire burst, and you're like, oh my goodness, today is just a bad day. Do you know already you've already defined how your day is going to be? And trust me, the moment you say today is such a bad day in the morning, since you've called for it, you will realize everything you try, nothing seems to work. That's the day you'll go and find there'll be a big jam, you'll be late for meetings, you'll have, I don't know, things that you'd even forgotten about. That's when your supervisor comes and is asking you about something that you should have done. And maybe since you're very disorganized, you don't even have a diary, you even forgot about it. So everything goes haywire. And when you go back to your house in the evening, and if you do write a journal and you're writing a journal about your day, you're like, oh my goodness, what was up with me today? And you're like, I had such a bad day. But it's because that's what you said in the morning. But what if you're happy and you can be like, wow, the sunshine, whether it's called, I want to be warm, I want to be happy, you attract that happiness. So guys, my dear colleagues, let's choose to be happy. I know in the HR profession, maybe because of the kind of things that we deal with every day. And I was telling somebody, like in HR, we always encourage, always go for counseling. Because most people who come to us, they don't come because they're coming with good things. They either come, they are complaining. I don't know what happened. You know, it will be the things that are not very positive oriented. But it's up to you. It's your responsibility to be happy. So even if they come, don't forget yourself. Yeah. Remember that you want to be happy and you want to remain happy. And don't settle for less. Because the moment you settle for less, then you compromise your life, you compromise your happiness. And of course, having looked at those 4 things, you need to ask yourself, what are these things that what can I do to be better? What can I do to be self-motivated? And to do that by embracing the self-development step. And we're talking about the self-development is whereby we encourage to spend 1 hour a day in self-development. Well, this may be it may be realistic to some people, it may be unrealistic to other people. So you can look for a time that works best for you. You can even do it weekly. But if you adapt the journal, maybe at the end of the week, you're able to ask yourself, by the way, this week, how was it? You know? And you ask yourself, what can I do to improve myself? Read good books. Books will always give you knowledge. The areas that you have a weakness, look for a book that will help you. Driving to and from work provides an excellent opportunity to listen to self-improvement tips. And I think this is one thing that I've really embraced, and for me, it's working. Even in the house, I might just put on a tape, an audio tape, an audio book. I listen to it. It gives you that self-motivation. It psychs you up. It gives you the energy. You know, it fuels you, you know, like some of these tapes, especially when you listen to this charismatic motivational speaker, you know, it psychs you up. You even feel like, wow, you know, it gives you the energy. So if it works for you, do it. But identify what works best for you, like I said, because what may work for me may not work for you. I have a friend who cannot read books. So she says every time she picks a book, she sleeps, even if it's at 7 a.m. If she picks a book to read, she's going to sleep. So maybe books don't work for her. So maybe she can listen to the tapes. So look for what works best for you. Finish what you start. Train yourself to finish what you started. We've started our wonderful journey towards us becoming great inspirational leaders. My dear colleagues, let's finish this journey. Let's meet tomorrow and you're like, wow, I am who I am because I attended that training and I started and I made a resolution to start this journey, and this is where I am. Yep. Regardless of what is going to happen, the objectives that you have, finish one task before you begin the other. Because at times when you have so much, you get overwhelmed. because you have so much within yourself. There's so much within maybe your family. There's so much within that workplace. So when you have so many things, then you get confused. And when you get a confused system, you can just imagine the output. So one task at a time, like I said, one day at a time. Don't overwhelm yourself. Just do what is realistic. But any improvement that you're going to make, celebrate it. Okay? The next step, live in the present. Live fully in the present moment. When you live in the past or the future, you aren't able to make things happen in the present. Some of us, as much as we aspire to be good leaders, and this mainly comes even when you have the appraisal. I know you've heard about this. Somebody comes and like, I did that when I was very new. 3 years ago, you're still bringing it in my appraisal of 2022. Living in the past. So meaning you've not moved on. So even in our lives, as aspirational leaders, as we inspire other people, let's forget what has happened. We said we make mistakes and we learn from the mistake. Let's pick the wisdom that we gained from that mistake and move on with it. Let's live at the present. This is where we are today. Yeah. It is 9, 10, 13. We're in this training. This is where we are. What happened like 30 years or 5 years or even 2 days ago? It's good to think about it, but let it not be that's what you're living about. Monday, Monday really messed. My whole week is bad because of Monday. Monday there's this, that we moved on, my dear. Move on and live for the present. Because today is what you have. Yesterday is already gone. So work with today. Whatever you didn't achieve yesterday, try as much as possible to achieve it today. And again, don't live so much in the future that you forget to achieve what you're supposed to work today, to achieve today. When I get that, I need to buy this book. When I get that, okay, today you don't have that book. So when the book comes, yes. So what do you have today? I don't have the money to buy that book. So, and I'm expecting some money maybe next month. So I cannot wait until next month when I get the money to buy the book. Yet I feel I need to get 1 or 2 quotes, or let me go to the internet. Let me get an audio. So live for the present. Live with what you have. Because that's the only way you're going to be able to make progress. Otherwise, you waste a whole day thinking about yesterday and thinking about the future and tomorrow. Then tomorrow, you're thinking about, oh my goodness, yesterday, how did I spend my day? I did nothing. Now again, you start mourning. So live in the present and live fully. Never give up. Never quit when you experience a setback or frustration, because success can just be around the corner. We are told the darkest hour is just before dawn. So whatever you're trying to achieve, whatever objective you have, whatever challenge you have, don't give up. Never give up. Because success may just be around the corner. And I'm sure you've heard people say, wow, and I almost gave up. I thought I would not make it. So kindly, if you believe in something, you believe you can, you want to make a difference in people's lives, don't give up until you achieve it. You want to be a good influencer, don't give up. Because once you believed in it, it's going to happen. It may take a day, it may take 2 days, it may take 2 years, it may take 2 decades, but you're going to achieve in it. Never ever give up. Dream and dream big. We are told to dare to dream big dreams. Believe in the law of expectation that we are moving in the direction of our dreams, goals, and expectations. Having a positive mind that yes, I am here, I am, but I'm on the path to becoming the greatest inspirational leader of my time. Let us be 1 million of us, but everybody has their own time. Yeah? Dream big. Don't limit your dreams. And dreaming big is not that you sleep and you dream, is visualizing yourself. Looking at yourself as that Barack Obama. Looking at yourself as Madre Teresa. Love to humanity. Self-sacrifice. Servant leadership. We all know about the leadership styles. Maybe for you, it works best as a servant leader. Don't give up when maybe you do so much and people are like, Now, what's wrong with Irene? Can she do something else with that money? And people will be like, I mean, she's always mentoring people. She's always, I mean, that is you. Don't worry. You know what you want to achieve. Don't let anybody frustrate your dream. The only person who can frustrate your dream or your aspirations to be what you want to be, it is only you, no one else. So dream and dream big and believe that you are moving towards the right direction. Towards your dream, your goals, and your expectations. I think we talked about being happy. So here we're saying we live life to the fullest. And the real tragedy in life, you're told, is not how much we suffer, but rather in how much we miss. So don't miss a thing. Yep, don't miss a thing about life. You are in this world for a purpose. You're in this training for a purpose. You made a decision to be in this training. So why do you want to miss out on the good things that we are all interacting with here? The things that you're going to pick up. After this, like I said, we're going to share this on our website. Yeah. Any area that you feel you want to improve, where do you miss the opportunity of going to make that reference to be the greatest leader that you want to be? And there's a quote here by a gentleman called Charles, who says, we must be prepared at any moment to sacrifice who we are for who we are capable of becoming. Yeah. Because at times it's a sacrifice. If you have to read, you have to sacrifice a whole hour. Maybe you have to wake up early. If you want to practice to be a good communicator, you have to read. You have to do some exercises. It's a sacrifice. But if you don't want to sacrifice, then you're not going to be able to become the person you want to be. Yep. So let's live to the fullest by ensuring that we don't sacrifice without a reason. Sacrifice because you want to be what you want to be. And I believe with those 10 steps of how we can be self-motivated, how we can motivate ourselves to be inspirational leaders, I'm sure we've picked one or two. And in case we embrace them, we're going to be the greatest inspirational leaders that we can be. And with that, now I want us to get to our last. We have two objectives. So there's one on the explain strategies for leadership development. And this is whereby I was talking about, should we require to develop other people? So what do we need to do? One, the self-assessment appearing again, very important. Self-assessment is everything. Monitoring for development, leadership capabilities, and leadership development, we align it. Okay, so we discuss it. So in terms of self-development, self-assessment for leadership development, this is whereby we're looking at when we recruit people, we are told as leaders, you recruit your weaknesses. Because the moment you recruit your strengths, then in most cases, you always have conflict. So at the point of view, recruiting new talents, that is do the onboarding, ensure that you already have a plan. You know your team and you're like, I'm looking for this skill. Let the new joiners carve into whatever you have in place. And that comes up by ensuring that you have proper personal assessments and individual development plans. Because the moment you do that, then you're going to build on your employee retention and motivation, because they'll feel that someone is thinking about their career. And I'm sure most times in the interview, someone will always ask, what is your career or talent management strategy? Do you have a strategy in place? So for you as a leader who is inspirational and you want to influence people, start thinking about your team. Yeah. Start thinking about this new person from the moment they're on board. That's when you should start thinking about the career of this person. And how you do it is the moment you have the assessment, then you're able to put in place a mentoring program. Because for you as a team leader, you're the chief mentor to everybody else. Because everything we do in terms of supervision, we are mentoring, we are coaching. Yeah. So have an efficiently planned mentoring program. Employee retention percentage can be improved through comprehensive facilitation and support for developing the required skills and talents. Understand your team. And that's we're told is very important to have a very objective appraisal system or management system. Because during appraisal, you have the discussions with the people whom you supervise. Maybe there's an area that you don't know about them. So get to know who they are. And when you have a good mentoring program, trust me, you reduce on your retention. Because maybe somebody just feels, this supervisor is just rebuking me. They never helped me to become what I want to be. So I do want to remain here for the next 2 years. Let me go and look for someone else who believes in me, because you don't even give feedback. You have no structured way. If you're unhappy with Irene, instead of telling Irene, you go and tell Judy that, I don't like how Irene has been behaving nowadays. Why can't you call Irene and tell me? Yeah, because that way you're able to have the employees who work with you, they're able to have trust in you and confidence in you. So always ensure that as a mentor, you offer structured and transparent feedback to the mentees on their progress at work, their areas of improvement, and also suggest how they can be able to improve themselves. Because you see, they're looking at you as a role model. They're looking at you and telling themselves, I want to be like you. So kindly offer that they may be seeking. You have to align it to technology. We all agree we're in the era of technology. It's either you're in or you're out. If you don't embrace technology in this time and era, then trust me, if it is a challenge that you're having, maybe that can be your first objective, that to be able to embrace technology by the end of December 2022. Because otherwise, if you don't, then the world will move on and you'll be left behind. And how you're able to do this is by implementing an integrated online software solution, and the entire process of leadership development can be managed efficiently from the level of start till the end. You're able to monitor it. You're able to pick up. You're able to have a dashboard, and you're able to, at a glance, you can be able to tell. Okay, so some people, in case maybe the employees are not many, you can work with, but whereby you have so many people, it's always good to have an online system that you're able to use it for your development plans. Then also critical operations from the stage of onboarding of an employee, implementation of the engagement and retention initiatives that you have to mentoring, coaching for performance enhancement, strategizing succession planning to fill up important leadership positions can be efficiently managed by using technology. And the beauty of technology is that anybody who can question your decisions or question maybe like in terms of your succession plan, what do you have in place? Yes, there's a hand up.
Irene, we don't have the slide on the screen. I think it has not moved.
Oh, it has not moved?
Yeah.
Okay. You have it now, right?
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah.
I think on my side it was moving. Sorry, on my side it had moved. I'm sorry for that. Thank you so much for bringing that up.
Thank you.
So like I was saying, when you have a technology or an online platform or system that is able to manage your development plans, career development for all the employees, in case you have to pick one employee and you have a very robust succession plan, it is very clear why Irene was picked as the next CEO and not Lucy. Reason? From our succession plan, this is what we're looking for. Anybody who wants to question, you can be able to answer with evidence, with facts. As opposed to, at times, documentation at times is good, but you find there are things that you're not able to, like maybe there are those assessments, but like I said, whatever works for one organization may not work. So look for something that works best for you. It can be in technology or it can be whatever works best for you, but it's always good to ensure that you have a system that is efficient and effective, and a system that everybody understands, and a system that people can buy into. Because at times we as a human capital, we bring in very good products, very good softwares. Like, now imagine, like, maybe you have a very good succession planning software, but you've not even explained to the business what it's all about. So you invest in it, but the moment you're trying to tell people, can you map your talent? People are like, what are you talking about? Because they don't have the buy-in. So always ensure, as you bring these wonderful incentive in strategies in place, that people understand why you're doing that, and people believe in it, and they can see how it benefits them and how it benefits the system. Okay. So I put there just as a reminder, just in case, you have to keep on reminding ourselves what we are looking for us to be good inspirational leaders. And for those of us who really want to be charismatic leaders like Barack Obama, I think we said Barack Obama was a very charismatic leader. And I think we can be able to relate him with all this. He was a very effective and clear communicator. I loved, actually at times, I just like listening to his like his speeches. He loved sharing with others. You have to be an active listener. Empathy. Yesterday we discussed the empathy and how to be empathetic. Self-awareness. Understand yourself. And I like what Juvi said when we started, she was sharing our recap, whereby you need to know how to behave when you're undertaking a certain task. Because maybe if you're talking to people, maybe there's something that triggers you and you get annoyed. So you need to be aware of yourself. So if you know your emotions today are not the best of it, so you know what to do and what not to do. So that is what self-awareness is. Good decision-making skills, regard for others. There are people who don't even care about other people. For you to be a good charismatic leader, you have to have regard for others. Good problem-solving skills. You have to be very perseverance, patience. We talked about patience yesterday. Self-confidence, very key. I can tell you, if you want to be a good inspirational leader, key to embrace is self-confidence. Be confident of yourself. Have care for others, gentleness, self-motivation. You have to be self-motivated. Motivate yourself. Even when nobody cares to motivate you, just be self-motivated, And like we said, you wake up, you're happy. That's an element of being motivated, having self-motivation. Reward yourself, pat yourself, Thank you. Tell yourself, thank you. Oh, that is good. I stayed through the 2 days for this training. I'm good. I didn't think I could sit down for 3 hours and listen, Self-motivation. And of course, self-control. You have to have the self-control. So now in details, as we conclude, we go to our last objective, which is on characteristics of an effective. Because you can have those attributes, but you don't have. They have the skills, but you may not have the effectiveness. Because having the skills is one thing, but using the skills in an effective way. Because you can be all this. Yeah, you can be all this and even more. But are you effective? And we all want to be effective, inspirational leaders. So as we conclude, this is our last objective, and you'll realize it's more of a summary of most of the things that we have been doing, because at the end of the day, at the end of this training, we want to be very, very effective as inspirational leader. And we are saying, as an effective inspirational leader, this is a person who is, one, has a good image. And when I talk about image, it's good to ask yourself, what is your brand? Because image is a brand. When you see Irene, when people see Irene, what do they think about? Have you had people who, you see your boss is coming and you better get hit by a car, because you don't want to cross paths with them? Have a good image. When people look at you, they're like, wow, when I grow up, I want to be. An inspirational leader has a good attitude. They say everything begins with attitude. And as HR people, most of us who are HR, there's one thing that we talk in terms when you're recruiting. And we'll have a school of thought that believes that, are you recruiting the skill or you want to recruit the attitude? Somebody with an attitude can learn the skill, but somebody with a skill and with a bad attitude will be a nightmare. Attitude is everything. A good inspirational leader takes ownership and responsibility. As a team leader, when things go wrong, do you take ownership or you start blaming people? You're in a departmental meeting and maybe something has happened in your department. You're the team leader, you're the head of that department, and you're saying, no. I don't know what's wrong with my team. I've been saying this. I mean, my friend, why are you exposing yourself? Just shows you're not accountable, you're not responsible for that team, because you're saying, I don't know what is wrong with my team. It means you're the head of that department. So I'm sure everybody's looking at you and asking, we don't know what is wrong with you. And it's only that they can't tell you. Because this is your department. Take responsibility. If things don't work, put your house into order. Take responsibility. That meeting, like, wow, thank you for that. I've noted, and I think I'll talk to my team. And maybe I'll come back next week and give a better feedback. But not just start rebuking your team members and you're the head of department. Because indirectly you're rebuking yourself. A good inspirational leader is prompt and ordered. Have order. A good inspirational leader uses proper speech. How do you communicate to people? Do you talk to people with respect or do you shout? You've had people say, me, don't shout at me. I don't like it when you shout at us. Yes, you can be agitated, but do you have to shout? You don't have to shout. Because whether you shout or you talk moderately or you talk in a respectful way, you're still going to communicate whatever you wanted to communicate. And actually, when you shout, people shut off. So you're just shouting to yourself. So use proper speech. Use the proper language. Yesterday, someone talked about culture. And you find, like in some places, the kind of language that they use. And especially if in your organization you have maybe some expatriates, and you may find someone who will allow me to use this for purposes of learning. There are those people who will use, like, they say, oh, I don't care, the shit, maybe. And one time I asked someone, why do you always say the shit? And they're like, for them, using such a word, it doesn't mean anything. But for us, or in our setup, when we use the word shit or other words that maybe I may not be able to use, the F words and the like, I mean, I almost want to go for cleansing, But in some other places, that is okay. So use the proper speech as per what is acceptable. Don't use the language and say, that's how we say it. No, that is not acceptable. Use the proper speech. Has integrity and honesty. What is your level of integrity? Do people believe in you? Or you're the people, someone will come and say, oh, Irene, that's what they say. They'll tell you so much, but in the real sense, they don't mean what they are saying. You've heard people say that. Are you that kind of a leader? Some people say, that's a snake. You just go and tell them they want to hear things. After that, they use that against you. What is your level of integrity? So for you to be an effective, because now we're talking about being effective, you have to have a high sense of integrity. You have to be a good communicator. You communicate well. People get to understand. And you can use all modes of communication, whatever works best for you. A good, effective communicator follows office rules, policies, and the etiquette. Yeah. And just as a wrap up, this is what I was just saying in case we'd want to get into more details. What is this been having good image? The way you present yourself. Do you work with confidence? Do you work in a professional way? Because that way you're able to portray your confidence and positive attitude. Actually, the way we walk has a lot to do with the attitude that we have. You've heard people say in Swahili, allow me to say, "Ai, huyu anatembeanga ni kama amenyeshewa." It's like they are rained on. Why? Because maybe their image, they talk, I mean, the way they walk, the way they portray themselves. So let's ensure that we have that image that portrays ourselves as good leaders. And how do you do that? One, by clothing, how we clothe, how we wear our footwear. They should be coordinated with the clothing. Accessories, we are told as leaders, let them be minimal. Don't wear like 1,000,001 and you're there standing in front of people and you have like 20 earrings and you have, I don't know, you know, so people start losing focus on what you're communicating and they start looking at you like a billboard. And remember, there's one person, we were doing some communication training, and I remember the facilitator saying, you know, at times you stand in front of people and you look like a billboard. So people, instead of listening to what they are saying, they're trying to read the billboard, you know. The hair and the nails, they should be clean and trimmed, you know. If you're the billboard in front there, the nails are bad, your hair is bad. So people don't even listen to what you're saying. They're just looking at the other issues that are not relevant. So ensure that you have good image, makeup and perfume. It should be light. Everything else from head to toe needs to be appropriate for the environment. If you're going for an official presentation or official meeting, then you go there in sneakers and jeans. And maybe, although it also depends with the dress code that you have, but if it's an official formal and it's well articulated, it's a formal meeting, and you're there with a cape in jeans and you know, I mean, surely you look like a joker. So kindly ensure that you have a good image. In terms of the attitude, I can't re-emphasize that more. Let's always have a good attitude in all that we do. Taking ownership and responsibility. I think I'd discussed that. And key to note is that let's always have a win-win approach, and especially, in terms of responsibility, let's always ensure that we have a win-win approach with the people that we work with, the people who are below us, so that they also bring in value to the table when they ensure that they don't meet deadlines. Because at times we want people to meet deadlines, but things go wrong. Let's be flexible. Let's be adaptable. Yesterday we said, as a good inspirational leader, we have to adapt. Maybe somebody had intended to do it. If they come and they give you a reason, and it's actually a reason that is genuine, understand them, okay? Because we are all open to things can happen that we're not intended, and be open to taking more responsibilities. When you're given responsibilities, like I said yesterday, never say no. At times you say no, you look like you're weak, you look like you don't believe in yourself. So if you're not very clear, just give a positive word. You can say, let me think about it. Can I have time to think about that? You know? Thomas, I love that. Let me check on the... Oh, sorry, Thomas. I think now let me check on the chats. So he's saying that can I have a recap of the steps? I lost connection. I'll do that right away. History ya mwanaume ni ndevu Joho style. I think that is more of keeping with the trends, because I think I'm not a man, but it's like of late, like yesterday as I was watching the telly when these MPs were taking their oaths. It's like all of them have that beard. So maybe for the men, you can tell us, is that the trend now or what is happening? Thomas, tell us what is happening, because it looks like it's a man thing. All of them have those beards. Thomas, tell us what you think.
I was asking, because you see, I've seen quite a number of people having those beards. So when you are talking about a good image and branding, Is it appropriate maybe to have those beards, or they are politicians? For professionals like us, we need to be different. So maybe it's the ladies who can tell us, do we look nice with those beards or without beards?
Okay, the ladies, can you kindly tell the gentlemen something about the beards? Who wants to go first? Carol? Can see there are ladies here. Let's help the gentlemen. There's Carol, there's Jane, there's Joyce. There's Lucy. Who wants to say something? Mary, Miriam. Ladies, represent us, please. One person say something.
Yes,
Mhm.
I think I don't have an issue with it if well maintained, trimmed, etc. But if it's just left there rough, I think they don't look.
Mhm. Thank you. Thomas, they have to be nice, well trimmed. In fact, what at times I ask myself, are they, I mean, even what, I hope they're well, you know, how do you wash them as you washing your face, or do you go to the salon? I don't know. I always ask myself so many questions. But I agree, they need, if they're well maintained, then I don't think, because it seems like it's a swag nowadays, because even in the offices, you've seen very senior people with those beards. So I think key is to ensure that they are neat. And like Sylvia is saying, as long as it is neat, then that's okay. Joyce says, I would advocate for professionalism. Let them be very well maintained and presentable. However, you do not have to be copycat. Yes, I agree. You don't have to be copycat. If it doesn't work for you, like for me, if you came to me and told me you want to pull those beards, trust me, I think I'll just say, I don't know. And let me just reserve my comments. But there are those people who look really, I think it also depends with the shape of your head. Me, that's what I've seen. Because there are people who look very nice, but there are people, I don't know, so, so I'm reading the charts. As long as it needs, it should be fine. 1 man's meat is another man's poison. I agree with you, Jane. Wow, Mudhoni is saying, you guys look really nice in those beards. Keep them. Wow. Thank you. So I think, Thomas, you've got the input from ladies. But I think key is to ensure they are neat. They're neat and well maintained. And if you like them, have them, not a bad thing. So Thomas, I'll go through the, once I'm done with this, or where are we? Okay, I'll take you through. Maybe if you guys, you can allow me. Can I take him through? Let's first finish this slide, then I can take you through what you missed up, if that's okay with everyone. So at least we ensure the flow. So we are taking ownership and responsibility, and I think these are discussed about. Then we have the next one is being prompt and orderly. Because keep your office space clean. Respond to meeting requests, emails, and calls. I'm sure after this, maybe you have some calls. And actually, Thomas, what we are doing is most of these things, I took people through the overall one, which was like just one slide. So now I'm going into details. So you not have missed much, because I think we've only done 3. This is the 4th one. So I'll take you through the first ones. So let's continue with this. And I think now this I'll go into details, so at least you may catch up with us. In terms of being prompt and orderly, keep your office space clean and hygienic. Respond to meeting requests. Respect other people as well as their time. Organize your task, events, and manage work in a calm and orderly way. Use proper speech. A good, effective leader, inspirational leader, is one who is, of course, avoid abusive, defamatory, offensive. Like I said, there's some languages which may be very okay in some cultures, but in our culture, it's you can't even talk about it, you know. We're told we avoid informal abbreviations. The language, avoid sensitive and racist comments, whereby maybe you say, you know, it's because you're from so and so. Like maybe, like for us, you're like, you since you're from this, you people, you're known, you love money, you know. Kindly avoid those kind of speeches because you never know. Respect others, and of course, be courteous. When you respect people, be courteous in how you manage them, because you're told people treat you the way you treat them. So treat people the way you want to be treated. Have integrity and honesty. And an effective leader is a person who has integrity, will not steal or misuse resources, not particularly in dealings with compromises, report any issues that are questionable to client or your colleagues or your people who report to you. Like I said in my earlier explanation, when I come and tell you a problem, in case it's a problem that involves all of us, call us as a team, but don't just go behind my back and you say, you know, Irene was saying that you've done this and this and that, you know. Ensure that you involve people whereby it needs to be address it in an honest way, whereby everybody feels they're part of it and they don't feel like you've compromised or you don't compromise your integrity. Be a good communicator. Okay, sorry, I was checking on the chats. I'm seeing there's something on the self-motivation steps. Yes, I'll go back. Okay, I'm clear now. I'll take you back once you're done with this. Juvi, welcome back. Oh, sorry, you lost your connection. I hope you've not lost much. At what point did you lose us?
Just in maybe 2-3 slides. In
Okay.
here, effective inspirational leader.
Okay.
Fine.
Then if you realize the first slide that I started, now this I'm going into more specific as what is on the slide. So it's more of just a recap on what I earlier said. So you may not have lost much.
Okay,
so welcome back. So a good communicator is a person who follows etiquette. Can you hear me, guys?
Now, yes.
Sorry, I think it's my internet that is fluctuating. It's okay. So you're talking about a good communicator. So one, you have to be very good in terms of communication. Your emails, your telephone, and in meetings, how do you communicate? And key about being a good communicator is to be aware of your non-verbal communication and body language. We are told that the principles of communication, you communicate more non-verbally. So even as you're talking to people, most people tend to pick a lot from your non-verbal attributes and the body language. So for you to be good, ensure that you manage your body language in such a way that whatever you're saying and your body language are in sync. Be an active listener. This is something that most of us struggle with, but like we said, it's something that you can be able to build up on. Follows the rules of the office. Policies. So this is what I talk about. You smile and greet others. And I think one of the recap is someone said in terms of they never thought greeting people, but trust me, greeting someone in the morning in the office, it has a big positive impact. So let's try and greet other people in the morning when you come in. If it's after lunch, how was your lunch? You know, just it's a sign of togetherness. It's a sign of being a team player. It's a sign of empathy. I mean, I also want to be asked, how is my morning? How was my evening? You know, so the same things that you want done to you, also do them to the other people. Don't speak loudly. The people say, me, that's how I talk. Me, I just talk loudly. No, you can be able to moderate the way you speak, understand the company policies and procedures, and follow them at all times. As a good, effective, inspirational leader, don't be the person that all the time there's disciplinary because you broke a process. If it's recruitment, you're very clear on your recruitment process, but if the person you want to bring people who have not qualified, number 5 becomes number 1. Be number 1 in following the processes. And it's respectful to women. Well, that is debatable, but for me, I would want to say you're respectful to everyone. And I think this may come up, it's unfortunate, but at times, ladies, people have, don't I like it because the environment is changing in the sense that ladies now have, somehow they've been embraced, especially when it comes to leadership. There are times that you'd go to a boardroom and there's no lady. And maybe the only lady who is there is a secretary who is organizing for that meeting. But now ladies are being embraced, so let's respect all of us, okay? So tip in terms of effectiveness is we need clarity. Clarity is very important because it helps you to become a good persuader. Hence, clarity in your thoughts, clarity in your speech, clarity in your actions is very, very crucial to inspire and lead people. Because you're told you have to ensure that we work with a clear idea of what we do, speak and write clearly and think clearly before communicating with anyone. So these are key attributes in terms of communication. And yes, Jane, your hand is up.
Yes, I just want to follow up the point you said about ladies are getting to the boardroom. I think the point of respect, ladies, would come in the sense that if you're the only lady there, you are expected to go and serve tea or coffee. So I think that's the whole thing, that people should go to the boardroom as equals, not as sub-equals.
Lovely. I agree with you. And in terms of the respect for ladies, there's something for all the ladies in this forum for today. I went somewhere and we're discussing that point whereby we're in a boardroom and the tea is brought. And all the gentlemen will look at you expecting that you serve them. So what happens if you don't serve them? Jane, what will happen in case you don't serve them?
They just look at you. Then I think it becomes disrespectful. Then it is, please serve us. Yeah. Or automatically out of instinct, because you serve people at home, you serve.
Thank you.
I don't know.
I wanted you to say that. In fact, we're challenged that we are the ones who make it happen. Because out of the instincts, you get into a boardroom, tea is brought, but you volunteer. Okay, maybe there'll be 1 or 2 people who'll be like, Irene, serve me a cup of tea. If Irene has asked that you serve them a cup of tea, serve Irene. And maybe you'll be like, maybe if for Irene to ask, maybe there's a way you relate, But now what happens is after I serve Irene or I serve Thomas, I feel I also need to serve Benjamin. So we are challenged as ladies that we are the ones who are bringing in that practice. And like Jenny rightly say, I think it's that instinct, that motherly. And the challenge you're told is like when you go to that boardroom, you're not going to that boardroom as a mother. Okay, it may sound a little bit harsh, but that was she said. Those are the exact words, that when you go to that boardroom, you're not going there as a mother. You're going there as a leader. You're going there because you have a seat on that table. So we ladies, when you go for those boardroom meetings, remember, you're not going there as a mother. You're going there as a leader. And as a leader, unless you feel you want to serve, don't serve. But in case you feel, maybe on that day, you're in that mood, you want to serve, do it. Yeah. Of course, it's something it's one of those cultural things that we are talking about. Mary, I can see you asking, what happens when you're in the boardroom with leaders and some of them are your seniors? Now, this also want to go back to the culture of that organization. We have some organizations whereby if somebody is like the CEO, they're taken for tea. Like in most offices nowadays, you'll find you have like a common area that everybody will go there for tea. whether it's a CEO, whether it's a CEO, whether it's a cleaner, whether it's a sweeper, there's a common area. But some organizations, the CEO has to be taken for tea and they have to be served. There's some cultures that will be put there in the office. They can decide whatever time they're going to take the tea. But there's some cultures, I have to take the tea and serve. So it also depends with the culture of your organization. Because if your CEO in their entire life in that organization, they've never poured themselves a cup of tea. If you're the lady in that boardroom, then talk to the person who's bringing the tea. And it's like, when you bring that tea, can you serve the men? Or can you serve us? Or can you serve everybody? You know? So that it doesn't become like you're supposed to be actually contributing and they're continuing the discussion, but you're so busy serving them tea. Yeah. So even if they're your seniors, know how to work around it. Whatever will fit your culture. If it is that culture where people have to be served, let it be like, it's tea time. Whoever brings tea, it doesn't break. And now you can just say, but there, you guys, we can take a break and we can have so and so serve us tea and we take tea. Let them know it's not your role to serve them tea, but it's something that it doesn't come automatic. You just have to start, you throw a bit to see, does it work? Because if they're your seniors and maybe they're used to that, again, you don't want to look like you're disrespectful to them, or you don't understand, or you're feeling like now there's some bosses will be like, oh, no, Irene feels you are the same level. She can't even serve me tea. And there are those who will take it very personally. So it's something that you have to, like we talked about the wisdom, you have to know how do you approach it. But key, when you go to that, remember, in all due respect to our mothers, we are all mothers. Every day you're told in our own ways you're a mother. Try as much as possible to unfreeze that habit. Yeah. Since someone has said, should you serve the seniors or not? Yeah, like I said, it's a cultural thing. It depends with your culture. So work with what works with your culture, but don't be the waiter, please. Try as much as possible. Don't be the waiter that you're serving all the men in that boardroom. No, try as much as possible. Maybe you can serve the CEO or something, but don't. They're all seated there with pens and writing, and you're there serving by the time you're serving your tea, they've started the meeting, they've discussed like 2 or 3 agendas, you're lost, and maybe go on to you if you're the secretary of that committee. So let's try and be just strategic. And I think with time, we're moving and getting there. And I believe with time, it's going to be well. Okay, so I think I responded to that well. And thank you so much, Jane, for bringing that up, because I know it's something that our ladies, at times, we struggle with. And especially with the midst of 20 men, maybe you're 1 or 2 ladies. Okay, so I'm talking about the communication and we're talking about clarity. Clarity is key in terms of communication. So based on that, you'll allow me, I want us to go to our summary. This is just most of the things that we've been doing. So these were just like the classworks, and most of them, I think I've been picking it up here and there. So in terms of the summary, as we come to an end, you're almost getting to the end, is this a summary of all that we've been doing. And we started by looking at the key pillars of inspirational and high performance leaders. This is why we're saying inspirational leaders. We're supposed to be enablers, enable people, enable things to work, enable people to achieve their objectives, enable people to achieve their capability and their potential, because everybody has potential to be great. Sharing a common vision, always have a vision and share it with your people. Skills in challenging the existing systems and processes. And I think this is like the issue we're discussing about the women. You need to know, how do you challenge that? How do you challenge that when you go to that boardroom, they take you as one of their peers, as one of a Nico and not a Martha, as in they're telling you, bring me a biscuit, bring me this, So you have to embrace skills and like I said, it's one day at a time. Just bite what you can be able to chew. And when you try, it doesn't work for you, kindly don't force it. Yeah, just embrace it and just adapt it and look for ways of trying to embrace that. Encouraging qualities of a leader, we did discuss that. Modeling behaviors, we have to be good models as leaders. We also talked about the techniques of self-assessment. And these are the ones that we talked about, the journals, very important. And I think I would encourage most of us, if possible, we try and get a journal, because it helps us in terms of trying to assess ourselves. We can develop a checklist, which you can share with our peers or with the people that we feel have an impact and can be able to give us feedback. And we also talked about the 360 feedback for assessment. This is whereby everybody around you, you take yourself and draw a circle, and everyone that you interact with, let them give you an assessment of what they think about you. And based on that, you're able to come up with areas that you feel you need improvement. And you're also able to know the areas that your strengths. And we said your strengths, you should use them and try and sustain them. Because if you don't, again, use them well, or they get into your mind, then it can be a recipe for your downfall. So manage your strengths in a way that you add value to everything that you undertake. The strategies for leadership development, we talked about the self-assessment. You need to assess yourself, know which are these areas, take a SWOT analysis. We all know about the SWOT analysis. That is the strengths, the opportunities, the threats, and the weaknesses. Whatever you have, what are these opportunities you have? We are told most of our weaknesses are opportunities. If I'm a bad communicator and my listening skills are not good, then that is an opportunity of me being a good listener. Okay. If my articulation, I don't articulate well, that is an opportunity of being a good articulator. If my good image, I need to work on my image. I mean, I feel I'm not portraying the image of a great leader, then that is an opportunity. So let's have a SWOT analysis of ourselves. Let's have a SWOT analysis of our lives, of our careers, of every element, every attribute of ourselves. And then that will be able to develop a plan. And once you do that, then you also need to have mentoring for development leadership capabilities. Yeah. And for the self-assessment, sorry, allow me to go back. You don't only take a SWOT analysis for yourself. You're a team leader. Also take a SWOT analysis of your team. Get to know what is their strength, what is their weaknesses, because that's the only way you're able to put in place development plans for them. Then, of course, now based on the development plans that you have for them, then you have in place a good mentoring and developing for leadership capabilities. You want to have future leaders. You want to develop people, You're the team leader. Tomorrow you want to get to the next level. Who will come on your space? You find there's some leaders. You ask them, but in case today you want to map, and especially when you're having the risk assessment and you're like, in case anything happens to Irene, who can comfortably do what Irene is doing? And they're like, but I've never thought about it. And you're like, really? And you have a team of maybe like 5-6 people reporting to you. You've never imagined you're going on leave and you don't even know whom you're supposed to hand over to, because you've not done the self-assessment and the assessment of your team. It's very, very important, because that's the only way you're able to pick up the gaps that your team may be having. And in case you're hiring, then you're able to hire the gaps. In case you need to develop people, you're able to develop them based on the skill gaps that you feel your team has. And of course, you align that leadership development to technology. It's very good in terms for tracking and being able to know where you are. We talked about the steps of developing a leadership plan. And here we are. I think that's what we did yesterday. And thank you so much for Thomas and Jovi for sharing. And I really do wish you all the best in your plans. And of course, even for the rest of us, I believe we have it. It's only that we didn't have the confidence to share it with everyone. So if you haven't, and for those who have joined us today, and for those maybe for a reminder, is one, we get the data and the analysis based on what we've gotten from our assessment. We articulate our vision. And just for us to remind ourselves is that like for Juvi, her objective, or sorry, her vision is to connect and to make a difference, with the people that she interacts with. Let's have a vision of our lives. Then, of course, once you've done that, you've articulated your vision for success. Because for Juvi, in case she's able to connect with people, she's able to have an impact, then that is her definition for the successful, inspirational leaders that she wants to be. But for that to be able to be possible, you have to set objectives. And these objectives are based on the weaknesses that you have, based on the strengths that you have, So build up your objectives, then you're going to realize your vision, then you write that plan. Then when you write that plan, it's like a document. It's like the constitution of your journey towards inspirational leadership. So you can always make reference to it. We said it's always good to have an accountability partner. It's always good to share it with somebody who can be able to monitor. It's good if you have a mentor, share it with your mentor and you're able to go through it before you start the implementation so that you're clear. There's that clarity in where you want to go. Then self-motivation steps for inspirational leaders. And I think, Thomas, this is where you missed. This is the slides that you missed. So I'm going to go through them. So in terms of the step, we talked about the first one. Get out of your comfort zone, my dear friends. If you want to be a good inspirational leader, you want to succeed, get out of your comfort zone. Mistakes happen. We make mistakes. But let's learn from mistakes. Let's get the wisdom from them and move on. Stop limiting yourself. The only enemy towards your success is yourself by limiting your capability. We all have the potential to be the greatest of all. So kindly, my dear colleagues, my dear friends, don't limit yourself. Be happy. Embrace a happy attitude. Always be happy. Even when things are really gloomy, try as much as possible to be happy. Let people say, wow, this lady, you're always happy. And you're like, okay, it's effort, but for you to manage to always be happy is an effort. Nothing comes easy. But trust me, when you're happy, like we said, in the spirit of attraction, when you're happy, you tend to attract good things. When you wake up and you say, oh my goodness, it's a bad day, trust me, that becomes a bad day. Just wake up and every day you're like, I want to have a happy day. Yep. Self-development. You have to continuously develop yourself. Finish what you start. You start a wonderful self-development plan. Yeah. You've developed your leadership plan. Then after day 2, you give up. Don't give up. Even when things don't go as you anticipated, give it your very best. Try as much as possible to finish it up. Live in the present, leave the past, learn from the past, pick the good lessons, move with them. For the bad ones, pick what you learned, the wisdom, use it for today. Live in the present. Never give up. Dream and dream big. Live life to the fullest. Enjoy yourself, enjoy your life, so that people can say, yes, for real, that person had a good life. They lived their life. And of course, in a responsible way. And when you're told to live to the fullest, is whereby all of us would aspire to get, when you look at the motivation or hierarchy of motivation, all of us would want to live to the self-actualization level. Whereby you're like, for me, I have achieved whatever I wanted to achieve. But you can only achieve that if you allow yourself to live to the fullest. Because if you limit yourself, if you feel you're not capable, it's going to be very difficult. So, my dear colleagues, my dear friends, these are the summaries that we had. And these are the key things that I believe that in case we pick them up, in case we live with them, in case we embrace them and take them positively, we're going to be the greatest inspirational leaders that we can be. Okay. So this is just more of the glossary. So this is just the words, in case you're not very clear. And with that, I say thank you. And I open it up for any question or answer that you may be having. Okay. So over to you guys. Question, answers.
Irene, this is Jane again.
Yes, Jane.
Thank you very much. I think that was a very insightful and very knowledgeable and very useful tips to actually work on. You talked about self-awareness. There's a particular tool I have used in the past. It's called Clarity 4D. If you can Google it, I find it as a very useful tool to understand yourself, and it's good for coaching and also understanding your fellow team members. So Clarity 4D.
Kindly, can you just kindly, Jane, if you don't mind, put it on the chat so at least we get the spelling right. And I'm sure we're going to, trust me, I'm going to look for it.
Okay, thank you.
Kindly just put it on the chat so at least we get it right. I also want to type the book that had said is very nice in terms of our habits. So thank you, Jane, for that. And like I said, we learn from each other. So in case it's a tool that you feel works well and you can share with us, kindly, let's share. So at least we learn. We said we are learning from each other. So thank you so much, Jane. Appreciate it. So open it up for questions, clarification, or comments, or anything that it's open, anything that you feel you'd want to say. A clarity 4D. Thank you. Thank you, Jane. I've seen it. I'm typing the book. It's called Atomic Habits. Yep, I've written the book. The floor is open for anyone who don't want to say anything.
We haven't seen the book, Irene. It's not entered.
Okay.
Atomic Habits by
James Clear. Has it come now?
Thank you. Yes, thank you very much.
I've shared it. Oh, thank you so much, Carol. Thank you for the insights, Irene. Thank you, Carol. I appreciate it. Thank you. Thanks, Jane. So guys, you can look at the chat for the self-assessment, Clarity 4D. And I've also put in the name for the book. So any other comments? Thank you so much, Daniel. I appreciate. I'll say these are very well. It's a very nice presentation, well delivered. Thank you so much, and be blessed too, Daniel, and everybody else. Also have a great day. I'm looking at the charts. We plan to listen to podcasts when driving to and from work. True. That is very, very important. It helps. That's from the KPRL team. Thank you, everyone. I love the comments.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. The comments are coming. Thank you very much. And like I said, all this presentation is recorded. So in case you don't want to listen to it, you can go to a YouTube. Just go to the site and you'll be able to get to maybe follow up. Maybe there's an area that you need clarity. You can always get it from there. Thank you, Lucy. Wow, thank you, Virginia. Wow, I'm really humbled. These are the things that now excite the trainer. So thank you for the positive feedback. And for me, it's just my appeal that whatever we've picked today, let us all try and build other people and influence other people and make a difference in their lives. And we can only do that by trying to motivate them, try to mentor them in areas that we see, so that we also add value. Because the more you add value to other people, that value comes back to you in thousands fold. So that's my appeal to you. Whatever you've picked, don't just stay with it, share it with people. I'm looking at the charts.
Thank
wow,
you very much.
Oh, KPL, you're this. There was 4 of you. Caroline Dorcas, thank you. KPRL stands for what? It's good to ask. Kenya. Okay, Kenya. I'm trying to imagine K is Kenya.